Yo, welcome back to M2H Academy right here on TTimeTV. I'm gonna go ahead and start by not letting you know, by asking you to go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, depending on where you're listening. I am your host, Royalty. I'm not gonna hold you, man. We're gonna get right into it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been so tired, but sleep didn't fix it? Like, have you ever woke up exhausted? You go to work exhausted. You come home exhausted. And somehow you convince yourself that that's just what adulthood looks like. But here's the truth: being busy isn't the same as being healthy. Let me say that again. Being busy is not the same as being healthy. And constantly running on empty isn't something that we should wear like a badge of honor. Today we talking about burnout. And we talking about what it really looks like and why so many men ignore it. And we're also going to talk about how to recognize it before it costs you your health, because that's important. So before we jump into it, again, go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and just tap in with me. You don't want to miss any of these updates, any of these videos, as I will um, be completing this series. It's a 10 video series for men. But today we're talking about burnout and burnout and what it is. Burnout is not simply having a long week, you know. It's more Burnout is more than feeling stressed after a busy day. You know, burnout is a state of emotional, it's a state of physical, and a state of mental exhaustion. And it can develop after prolonged stress, especially when you feel like you're constantly giving, but you're never getting the chance to recover. Many men believe the answer to this is just to work harder, you know, push through it, ignore it. But your mind and your body eventually start asking for something that they've been missing. And what is that something? That something is rest. It's not sleep. It's actual rest. It's taking time away from everything. Like, I've been there, you know, banging out businesses, banging out career, banging out school, podcasts, music, reactions, reviews, meetings, creative workshops, just always on the go, and thinking that coming home and getting 6 to 8 hours of rest is gonna solve the problem. But truth be told, it's not, because that's not what the body's missing. That's not the rest that the body is intending to get. But we'll get into that. But why are men especially vulnerable? Think about that for a second. Many of us were taught that our value comes from what we produce. Be the provider, be dependable, handle business. It's your job to take care of everybody else. Now, I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with responsibility. But when your identity becomes tied only to productivity, you may start believing that resting is laziness. And I'm here to talk about that because I'm speaking from self. I'm a person, if you know me very well, you know that if I'm not doing something productive, I feel lazy, If I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm definitely lazy. And it is something that comes from, childhood, what you are taught as a kid, do something. You being lazy, get up, But it's not laziness. When you start believing that resting is laziness, That's the first mistake you're making, because it's not. Rest is not quitting. We have to switch our perspective and understand that rest is preparation. You cannot pour into everyone else's cup if your cup is empty. So you need to rest and prepare and refill your cup back up if you want to be valuable to others, if you want to support others, if you want to be that person that other people are seeing you as and seeking you out to be. You have to rest. You have to prepare. Fill your cup up. So you know what I like to do? I like to go through 5 signs to help bring awareness to men. So we're going to jump into the 5 signs that you may be burned out. 5 signs that you may be experiencing some form of burnout. The first sign is that you're always tired. No matter how much sleep, you still wake up drained. The fatigue is not just a physical thing, it's emotional as well. You feel like every task takes twice the effort. You feel like you're putting out more than you're receiving. Sometimes you feel like it takes so much for you. You have to dig so deep just so that you can produce, just so you can be valuable, get the job done. But you always feel tired. And rest is just not rejuvenating. It's not refueling. It's not recovering. It's a sign, man. You may be burned out. You may be going through burnout. You may need to take a rest, from a few things that you're doing in your life so that you can get back to you. Sign number 2, you start becoming emotionally detached. You stop caring about things that you once enjoyed. You stop working out. You stop making music. You stop going bowling. You stop calling the homies. You stop playing ball. You become numb. You're physically present. You're here. We see you. You're talking, but you're just going through the motions. Emotionally, you've checked out. You've checked out at work. You checked out at home. You've even emotionally checked out with yourself. You're seeing all the signs. You're feeling everything, but whatever. It is what it is. You're becoming emotionally detached. It may be a sign that you're burnt out or you're experiencing a form of burnout. Sign number 3 is small problems feel huge. Things that never bothered you, they suddenly start to feel very overwhelming. Simple emails, simple phone call, simple text message, minor task. All of it starts to feel like one more responsibility. One more thing that you have to break your back to get done. When your emotional reserves are empty, the smallest challenges can feel so impossible. Like I said, these are things that never bothered you from before. Small problems all of a sudden become huge issues and huge concerns in your life. May even send you off the deep end. Your emotional response may come back. It's very, anger, irate. You may showcase or display some form of rage over something very minor, something very small. You're just burnt out. That burnout can happen in relationships. It can happen at work. It can happen at home. It's your job to become aware and attentive to what in your life is causing this burnout. You need rest. Time to check out. Time to step away and be okay with it. Because at the end of the day, at the beginning and the end of the day, your job is to make sure that you're taking care of you. So 1, you're always tired. 2, you're becoming emotionally detached. 3, small problems all of a sudden start to feel huge. 4, you're losing motivation. Like I said, you're present. You're still showing up, but your passion is gone. You're just operating on autopilot. The dream that once inspired you, now it feels so distant. But don't get me wrong, you're surviving. You're just not living. You're still showing up. You're here. You're there. But you're not present. You're on autopilot. You're just going through the motions. You're just doing it. This is what I do every day. I get up, I brush my teeth, I get in the shower, I get dressed, drive to work, make my coffee, sit at my desk, finish my job, pack my things, I get in the car, I go home, I clean up. You're just on autopilot. You're doing the things that your body's programmed to do, but there's no passion behind them. There's no new ideas formulating. You're not taking any steps, to make it more, adventurous for yourself. Like I said, you're just surviving. You're not living. You've lost your motivation. Signs that you have burnt out or you're experiencing burnout. So before we get into the fifth sign, let's recap. We got sign 1, you're always tired. Sign 2, you're becoming emotionally detached. Sign 3, small problems start to feel huge. Sign number 4, start losing your motivation. And the biggest one is sign number 5. Your relationships are suffering. Hear me out. Your relationships are suffering. People around you are noticing it, but they also may be afraid to speak up. See, burnout doesn't always stay at work. It follows you home. You start to become very impatient. You become less present, more withdrawn. But the people around you are so afraid to speak up and say anything. They notice the changes. They can feel the lack of empathy. They can feel that you're not there. But they also don't want to push you over the edge. So if you feel like you're affected by any of these signs, start to become more aware. It's time for you to dial it back a little bit. It's time for you to put your focus on you and not all of the things that you want to do. Cut down some of your tasks. Create some space for you to sit. Create some space for you to rest. Create the space for you to recover. The space for you to fill your cup back up so that you can be the person that your family and your friends, your place of business, your place of work, that they see you as and they want you to be. Because that burnout can push you over the edge and it can derail you in lots of places in your life. And that's the hidden cost of burnout. Burnout affects more than just your mood. It can impact your physical health. It can impact your decision making. It can impact your confidence and the quality of your relationships. When burnout is left unchecked, it can contribute to anxiety. It can contribute to depression, contribute to unhealthy coping behaviors, overindulging in substances, new vices. Ignoring burnout doesn't make it disappear. Ignoring burnout simply gives it more time to grow. So that's why we must be present and we must correct these things in our life as men to continue to build ourselves up to being the strongest being that we can be, living in our true self. It's okay. We have to be more aware. We have to correct these things. We have to start being comfortable having these conversations. We have to start being comfortable with correction because it's needed. Awareness and correction are needed for men to be strong. So how do we start recovering? So how do we begin to turn things around? First, we got to be honest. We got to be honest with ourselves. We cannot fix anything that we refuse to acknowledge. I say this almost in every episode. We have to be aware. We have to name it. We have to acknowledge it. Secondly, we have to give ourselves permission to rest without guilt. We have to be okay with saying, I'm just not today. I'm not this week. I'm taking the time for myself, and I'm okay with that. That stuff will be there when I get back. I'm not missing out on anything. But if I am not 100%, I can't give 100%. And that's okay. Recovery is not wasted time. It's an investment into our own future. So be present, recover, rest, take care of yourself. Thirdly, create boundaries. And I put that in there, and I'm putting emphasis on that because it's a real thing. And it's okay. As men, sometimes we feel that we don't need to create boundaries, but we do. It's detrimental to our peace. We need it. Not every phone call requires an immediate answer. Not every request deserves a yes. Protect your energy, because protecting your energy allows you to show up more fully where it matters the most. You can't show up for everybody, especially if you're not showing up for yourself. Number 4, we have to reconnect with the things that bring us life. I got away from myself really, really bad, dealing with people that I wanted to deal with that were not aligned in my path. And it caused me to disconnect from a lot of things in my life that bring me life. So I hope that makes sense. Reconnect with the things that bring you life. Growing up as a kid, if you love to play basketball, implement that into your life once a week. If you like to work out, implement into your days. If you enjoy reading, karaoke, singing, whatever you like to do, reconnect with the things that bring you life versus reconnecting with everything that brings everyone else life. You got to pour back into your cup. Exercise, prayer, meditation, music, time in nature, reading, having meaningful conversations. All these things matter. Become aware of where you are burning out in your life. If you're experiencing burnout, where is it coming from? Disconnect so that you can reconnect. And if burnout is becoming or affecting your ability to function, I will always tell you to reach out to a licensed mental health professional. You do not have to navigate through these things on your own. You have support. You have somebody. You have a space. Even when you don't feel like it, it's there. But as men, we have to be strong enough to reach out. We have to be strong enough to be vulnerable. We have to be strong enough to have meaningful conversations that may be uncomfortable, but they're needed. So if you don't leave with anything today, I want you to leave with this. Your worth is not measured by how exhausted you are. You don't earn value by running yourself into the ground. So being a strong man doesn't mean carrying every burden alone. It means knowing when to pause, knowing when to recover. It's knowing when to ask for support. Burnout is not a sign that you failed. Sometimes it's a sign that you've been carrying too much for too long. And the goal is not to do more. The goal is to live well. So if this message resonated with you, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to TTimeTV. Share in M2H Academy. Share with the man who's always taking care of everything else but rarely take care of himself. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What helps you recharge when life starts to feel overwhelming? When you start to feel like you don't have a handle on life, what do you do to bring yourself back down? What do you do to ground yourself? Comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Let's talk about it. Until next time, I do thank you for sitting in on this episode. Like I said, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Remember to protect your peace. Remember to prioritize your health. And remember to lead with purpose. Because when men learn to recover instead of just simply survive, they become stronger fathers, partners, leaders, and most importantly, examples for the next generation. Thank you for tuning in to TTimeTV. Until next time, remember, positive energy always creates elevation. Peace, love,